Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Psychic medium Helene Olsen and paranormal researcher Patricia Baker. Here are Supernatural Girls.
Good evening, everybody. This is Patricia Baker, and I am your co-host along with Helene Olsen for tonight's edition of Supernatural Girls. And I see that Helene is
Patricia?
on the air. Yes,
Patricia?
and now I can hear you.
I was talking, and my phone was on mute. So I apologize to the audience.
That doesn't allow you to be heard. So I didn't want people to think that we had left the planet. So
not yet.
You
not
can
yet,
take it from here.
No, you did a fine job as always, Patricia. And I'm
glad to fill in for you.
Yeah, we're still on the planet, and actually, just because I have to comment on the weather because I'm getting old and I pay attention to it, it's been okay, but the thing that I don't like is that it really feels like fall, and I wasn't really ready for that, Patricia.
No, I was really liking those warmer temperatures we had earlier this week, and I know a few people were complaining. I'm like, don't complain because this is the last of it for some time, so I'm soaking it in. I love those 80, 90-degree temperatures. It just felt great, so I'm with you. I think it's kind of slowly I'm getting ready for fall, but yeah.
I know, but the summer always goes so quickly. It's quick. It's like every year it's faster. I don't know.
It is. It's too quick, definitely. And hey, I just want to mention congratulations to you because you had a terrific and wonderful time with George Noory last night on Coast to Coast AM.
Oh, it's fun. That's the second time I was on there, and it's fun. It's a big, huge audience, and I really enjoyed myself. Of course, it is a little bit difficult. Last year, I was a last-minute replacement, which made it even harder. But this time, I was able to take a nap because it starts airing at 1 a.m. on the East Coast.
That's
so
tough.
It's 1 to
that's
3.
Tough.
Yeah, that part's a little hard, but I did okay last night. Last year, I didn't get a chance to take a nap. They called me at the very last minute, and then I had to go on from 3 to 5 that time.
Ooh, that's even worse. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so it was okay last night for me. But, that's tough. That East Coast, West Coast time difference can be a real tough thing. But it was okay last night. Yeah.
Well, I heard wonderful things about it. I was not able to stay up. It was way past my bedtime, but everybody who heard it called me today and said how wonderful you were and what a great job you did. So.
Oh, thank you, Patricia. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so for any members of our audience who would like to hear it, you can go to the Coast to Coast AM website. And I believe you have to be a member to hear these archived shows, but take a look.
I do, but I don't know if people copy it and put it on YouTube or what goes on with that, so there might be another way that I'm not clear on, but I think you do have to subscribe to get their archives, so yeah. Well, we want to tell the whole audience to make sure and go over to supernaturalgirls.com and sign up for your remarkable newsletter. You send it each and every week faithfully, and it always has interesting information besides notes about our upcoming guests and our impending giveaways, which we haven't quite got to the last week or two because we've been so busy with so many other projects. But
our guests have been so fascinating. It's hard to break away from each of them to talk about other things. So it's yes, we will be giving away all kinds of books that have been given to us by paranormal author, so definitely sign up, as Helene is suggesting, because we will be doing that. And we're going to have special offers on other things as well, so we want to make sure you're included in all of that.
And the thing is that we are going to choose winners from the newsletter list or email list, so make sure that you put your name in.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I want to mention is, again, Becky's Angelic Prayer.
Yes.
That's posted on the website because it is phenomenal. I've said it the last week or two on the air. It is just, I really believe she's the only one on this planet who can speak, read, and write the angelic language. And when she channels that information, the energy on her words is just flowing through her immense channel, and it's just remarkable. And I encourage everybody to take a look at that at the store tab on the Supernatural Girlz website.
Yes, there's a whole explanation there that people can read, and you can order the prayer and have an immediate download of it. And this is a prosperity prayer. So please check it out. It is exactly what Helene is saying. And, yes, I do think that Becky is the only person in the world who has this information and has this kind of access. So don't forget to go take a look at that tonight.
That's right. And anybody who wants to contact me can look at my website at angelslighthouse.com. I have some online classes coming up and a reading day in Salem. And we also have posted there Patricia's wonderful dream analysis sessions. You are an expert in dream analysis, Patricia, and you've helped me.
Well,
so
thank you, and I love doing the work.
People to do that. Yeah, I know you do.
Thank you.
I really encourage people to do that, and I often send people to you about dream analysis and how to help them with their dreams. So it's a great thing.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure to work with people on dreams. It's a fun and powerful way to change your life for the better.
It is. It is. But tonight's guest is just fascinating by himself. I mean,
he's got some great things to tell us tonight. I can't wait to get him on the air. And for people that want to ask Len Kasten questions, the phone number to call is 646-478-0828. And for people in the chat room, you can type in a question, and we will ask it for you. And this is going to be a very interesting conversation. And I actually have some paranormal news that kind of goes a little bit, well, kind of a lot, into this whole subject with Len tonight about interplanetary travel. And that is about the guy called Valiant Thor. Now, have you heard that name?
I absolutely have, although I can't immediately recall why, but I definitely know that name.
Well, there's some stories about this mysterious gentleman, and there's a book written about it called Stranger at the Pentagon. And according to this book, and I read this book years and years and years ago, but according to the book, this person named Valiant Thor was from Venus, and he landed in Alexandria and met with the president to discuss the world's problems and offer advice and counsel on how to deal with and eliminate them. And in the book, it says, safe to say that the problems he was discussing were more complex than savings bonds or how does an annuity work. He indicated to Mr. Eisenhower, now, we've had Laura Eisenhower on the show, and she also was talking about President Eisenhower, her great-grandfather, meeting with extraterrestrials. But anyways, he indicated to Mr. Eisenhower that the world was in a precarious situation. And if the world continued to proceed on a war footing, it would cause an economic imbalance throughout the world. And I just found that interesting given the situations that we find around us today. And according, again, to this book, Valiant Thor stayed on the Earth until March 16, 1960, and then disembarked and went back to his home planet. It's a fascinating story. I think it would be a great movie someday if any Hollywood people would ever pick this up. They have supposed pictures of him. And I have to say, in the pictures, he's got a kind of a strange hairstyle. He could be from Venus. So,
other than that, does he look human?
He looks human, and he's very handsome. So he could be from Venus, and he was supposedly here with several others who were also equally beautiful. It's an interesting story that I found intriguing years ago, and I find it just as intriguing today. And, of course, as you well know, Helene, there's so much disinformation out there. And so when people talk about these things and then it's found out not to be true or it was a part of a disinformation campaign, everybody feels kind of foolish. But people shouldn't feel foolish because how are we supposed to know the difference? This information is what it is. So you take it with a grain of salt, or you investigate it further, or you check into your own intuition and is it true, is it not? But I have always loved the story of Valiant Thor. I just thought it was a great story.
It is a great story, and I do remember reading something about it some years ago. Fascinating, and I think it's very difficult to go back now and prove it or disprove it, but it's an intriguing thought. And
it is. It is indeed.
Well, let's say hello to our guest, and we're welcoming right now Len Kasten. Hello, Len. You're live on the air.
Hi, how are you? How are you doing?
We're good. We're doing great. Now, you wrote the book, let's see, Secret Journey to Planet Serpo, and it's a fascinating documentary that you wrote in the style of a researcher. Is that correct, that you talked to the people who actually made this journey?
No, the people who actually made the journey, the last one died in 2002. I had no connection with them whatsoever.
I see. Okay. So
but you have the documents.
Mm-hmm.
You have the documents.
The whole program was very, very, very compartmentalized and top secret.
So how did you get involved in this whole story?
Well, the story was revealed to the world in November of 2005 by a retired member of the Defense Intelligence Agency. He sent it in via some emails to an insider, what we would call an insider UFO, what they call the UFO thread list. It was a email network of people who had been high up in insiders in the government and military. That's what broke it open, and he followed it up with some more emails in the course of November and December, and the people who were getting the information realized that it was legitimate because they all had other little pieces of it, and so they knew he was telling the truth, and at which point they decided to devote an entire website to it, and that became www.serpo.org, created by Bill Ryan. Bill was a British member of the network, and so that's where it all started. I met Bill in 2006, shortly after this happened, at the UFO Congress in Laughlin, Nevada. And I sat with him on the shuttle from Laughlin to the Las Vegas airport and heard his whole story, and that's what got me into it.
So you obviously felt that this had the ring of truth.
Yes, I thought so. After 25 years of research on my own, other aspects of UFOs, lore and UFO interest and research, I came to realize that this story was probably true.
And this is such a fascinating story because we've heard a lot through the years about extraterrestrials or interdimensionals coming here, but there really hasn't been anything that I've heard about in great detail other than your book and this website you mentioned, serpo.org, that talks about people from Earth going off planet to other planets. This is just an incredible story.
Other than on Star Trek, that's true.
Yeah, so is this, as far as you know, is this the only time that people have gone off planet like this?
Well, we don't know that. All we know is that this is the only case where it was revealed to the public by members of the Defense Intelligence Agency who had been part of the program, so they knew all about it. My own feeling is that there probably have been many other cases that we have not been told about.
Why do you think that they chose to reveal it to the public when they did?
Well, do you know anything about the Defense Intelligence Agency at all?
What you wrote in your book, but please tell our audience because they may not have read your book yet.
Well, the DIA was started by President Kennedy in 1961, so it had none of the baggage of the CIA or the NSA or any of the others. It was strictly President Kennedy's and Defense Secretary McNamara's creation. And it was imbued from the beginning, the very start, with a dedication to transparency. Kennedy himself had made speeches about government secrecy. He was very much opposed to it. So it bore his stamp. This whole agency really had his stamp of being transparent. And so the members of the DIA that were involved in the Project Serpo program waited the 25 years before this story could be declassified. And that's why it was declassified on that particular date of November 2005, because the final report had been written in 1980. And as soon as they were able to, they revealed it.
And this is just incredible.
But even almost 30 years earlier, Steven Spielberg had gotten a piece of it and created a movie about it. I'm sure you've all seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes, one of my favorites.
Well, that last scene in the movie showing the 12 Americans boarding the alien spacecraft was this. That's what this was. That's what this story was all about.
So it was really based on an event that happened. And these 12 people that went, now they were all men, according to what you determined. I know there was some controversy that there were 2 women at first, but then they were dropped from the program, or is there still controversy over were there 2 women or were they all men?
Well, the DIA official who released the story, who called himself anonymous, claimed that two of the people that went were women. But others who have written into the website have debated that and have said that there were at least two women in the initial group of 16 trainees. There were 12 trainees and 4 alternates, and there were at least 2 women in that group. But he said that in the final cut, only the 12 men went. However, Anonymous did claim that the women did go, so it's still a contentious issue. We don't know.
Okay.
We don't know. My own opinion is that they were all men.
Mhm.
And
it sounds like you could determine that based on some of the diary entries that also are in your book and are fascinating to read from the team commander. I mean, because I think that really tells the story beautifully. I'm sorry, Helene, I hear you have something to ask.
No, I was wondering why you weren't able to get to the people who actually traveled.
Well, by the time I got involved in this in 2006, they were all dead, and I didn't know anybody that had known them.
I see.
The last one died in 2002 in Florida.
And the thing I found very interesting about how these people were chosen, which you wrote about quite extensively in your book, is that the government or the DIA was looking for people who were, orphans or had very few family members. So it's not like you could even go ask their family members about their being gone for 10 years or anything, because it's quite possible that they didn't even have family members. These were people who had no family.
Yeah, and that was deliberate on the part of the Air Force. Yeah, they wanted them to have as few personal or emotional ties as possible, and they even took away their identities and they assigned them 3-digit numbers, and those 3-digit numbers became their new names, their new identities, and anything relating to them was buried in the vaults of the DIA.
Do you think we'll ever find out who they were? Will they reveal their true identities, do you think?
Will who reveal? The DIA?
Well, the DIA.
When they returned in 1978, by the way, only 7 returned. 3 had died, and 2 had decided to remain on Serpo. They were debriefed for a solid year by the DIA and by the Air Force Office of Special Investigation. And as a result of that debriefing, a 3,000-page book eventuated out of that debriefing, and that book is in the vault of the DIA at Bowling Air Force Base as we speak. And Anonymous, who revealed the information, had access to that book, and that's how the story got revealed.
I see.
So their names, if their names exist anywhere, they would have to be in that book. But my guess is that I don't even think their names are in that debriefing document. I think that their names were just kept strictly secret.
So there may never be a reveal on that one. We may never find out their true names.
No, that would be very unfortunate because really, I mean, these were pioneers, and we really should know their names. I think that's inexcusable. It's the kind of secrecy that I think is over the top, you know. I think we should get to know who these people were.
Well, I totally agree because when you talk about the fact that they were pioneers, when I was reading your book, I was really struck by all of what they went through. I mean, being disoriented on the trip out there to Serpo and taking this enormous risk, knowing that they may never come back to their home planet, and nobody would know, you know, exactly. I mean, at least the general population wouldn't know the events and what happened to them. But besides that, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around everything they encountered there, a completely different civilization, beings that did not look human, a totally different way of operating, a different language. They didn't understand their language completely, and the beings on Serpo didn't understand English completely. So there were some real issues there with just even basic communication, which I found very interesting. And at the same time, it's startling. It's like, how do you learn all this? I mean, how do you assimilate into this type of a situation? It's a different planet beyond anything. It's Star Trek, truly Star Trek. But nobody here was ever really prepared for Star Trek, as far as I know, for real.
It's really beyond Star Trek. And the interesting thing about that is the timing, because they landed on Serpo in early 1966. After a 10-month journey, and that was exactly the year that Star Trek first appeared on television. So that's an interesting coincidence in itself.
That is.
Yeah, that's when we first learned about Captain Kirk, and here we have a real Captain Kirk on a distant planet. It's quite a story.
It is quite a story. I mean, we do deserve to know so much more about these very brave men. We really do.
Absolutely.
Can you tell the audience where? Yeah, it's amazing. Can you tell the audience where Serpo is located?
Serpo is located. It's the fourth planet in from Zeta Reticuli 2. Zeta Reticuli is a binary star system 39 light years away from Earth. And I believe, who was it that said they knew Betty Andreessen? Is it you, Patricia?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, Betty Andreessen was connected with beings from that star system, wasn't she?
You know, I'd have to ask her. I don't want to misquote and give out wrong information. But the beings that Betty had contact with sound very different from the ones that are described.
They were the Greys. She was involved with the Greys. I met Betty back in the 80s. I knew her pretty well back then. I was a friend of John White's. Do you know John White?
Yes, of course.
John's a good friend of mine. I was the one that actually suggested to John that he start doing a UFO conference in New Haven way back in those days.
Well, I remember that. In fact, I presented a case there once, and yes, it was an exciting time, and certainly Betty's case is one of the most well-documented, well-reported, and certainly Ray Fowler did a fabulous job with the books about her experience there, and with her husband, Bob Luca, also. I mean, the adventures that she had and the ability to recall so much detail, and also the incredibly beautiful drawings. I mean, what a talented artist she is. And I hear she may be making some of these available for sale, and they are absolutely breathtakingly beautiful.
Yeah.
So
people
should go to her website, to her Facebook page and check in with her about that, because that is experience that she had, and it's in the plural, many experiences that she had. It's just incredible.
Does she go by the name Andreessen or Andreessen Luca now? What is her name, actually name?
Well, she's Betty Luca and married to Bob Luca, but people know her by Betty Andreasen because of the book. So that's, but she's Mrs. Luca, too. So.
Now, did Ray Fowler write that?
I think on Facebook she's Betty Andreasen.
Okay.
Now, did Ray Fowler write that book?
Yes, he did.
Okay, well, if you read my book, you know that I have some information about Ray Fowler in my book.
I saw that, and I saw a picture of him in there as well. Yes.
Yes, he was critical in revealing the Kingman story, which was really part of this whole saga.
He's been involved with this for so long, and he's an excellent writer, and he certainly did a great job with the Andreasen Affair and the subsequent books. And the Andreasen Affair was on the bestseller list for a number of weeks. It really captured the attention of the American people.
Well, J. Allen Hynek said that he was one of the most thorough investigators that he had ever met. So he got some very strong kudos from Hynek, who was, of course, a legend in his own right.
Yes, absolutely. It was so funny how this circle comes around. We know the same people here.
I know, yeah. That Kingman story was critical to the whole thing, and we'll get to that as we go along. But I think you have other questions first, don't you?
We have a million questions for you. I don't know if we have time for all these questions because the story is so incredibly fascinating, and your book is excellent.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was wondering if we can spend a few minutes, Len, if you could talk about what Planet Serpo was described to be like.
Well, it's very similar to Earth in terms of size, in terms of a lot of the natural features are very similar to Earth, and of course, the atmosphere has the essential critical components that are required for people to breathe there: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. And so basically it was very pleasant in a lot of ways, except in the equatorial region it was extremely hot, going as high as 125 degrees. But the Ebens seemed to prefer that heat. We, of course, our people did not. And eventually, after they had been there about, I think, 5 years, they moved them to the northern quadrant, which was much cooler. Mm-hmm. But other than that, a lot of the natural features are very similar to Earth. They had forests, they had water, they have mountains, and a lot of the things that are on Earth. So that familiarity, of course, helped a lot as far as our people were concerned.
And could you tell us what these beings physically looked like from the reports you looked at?
I think the best picture I've seen of an Eben is one that was created from a sculpture by Cynthia Crawford. Do you know Cynthia Crawford?
No, I don't.
Cynthia lives here in Arizona, and she does sculptures of extraterrestrials, and she gets the information psychically. Mm-hmm. And so she's created statues of all of them, 30 or 40 different ETs. And she did one of the Ebens that I think is very accurate based on other descriptions. And they're basically about 3.5 to 4 feet tall, brownish complexion. They look somewhat oriental, but not really with the same eye structure. And small facial features, rather large skulls, not overly large, but large, a little larger for their size. And that's about as close as I can get. That's what they look like. Their bodies are totally different than ours. Their blood is totally different. As one of our CIA people pointed out in the book, their entire biochemistry is different than ours.
And we had an experience with one of these beings that was found alive after the Roswell crash. So maybe we should take a break right now, Helene, and then come back and talk about how all this began with the crashed ships in New Mexico.
That would be great. And everyone can call in their question to Len at 646-478-0828. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with cosmic fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the Source. With Cosmic Fusion, the Source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. Sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion, www.KOSMICfusion.com, to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to our exciting show tonight, talking about interplanetary travel with Len Kasten, who is the author of a fabulous book that you should definitely check out. And, Len, would you tell us, now your book is available on Amazon.com, correct?
Yes, it is,
Okay, and the name of it again?
Secret Journey to Planet Serpo.
Do you have a website also, Len, that you wanted to tell our audience about?
I do have one. It's www.et-secrethistory.com. That's et-secrethistory.com, yeah. And part of the website is devoted to the Serpo book, part of it to my first book, Secret History of Extraterrestrials. So they're both described on the website.
Excellent, excellent. Helene, are you back with us?
I had a coughing fit, Patricia. I think this
no
is all
problem.
left over from staying up late last night.
Really, I know. That's what happens. But I just want to make sure you're okay. Checking on you.
This is a really fascinating show, fascinating information from you, Len. Everybody's interested in interdimensional, interplanetary travel. And the beings that you've described, I could picture in my mind. And I know we want to get to the whole New Mexico event, but really I'm just wondering, how did this culture receive people from Earth? Were they accepting of that, or
how did they receive us? I mean, how did they greet us?
How did they greet us? How did they care for the Earthlings? How did they treat them?
Very kind and caring, very helpful. They let the Americans do whatever they wanted to do and go wherever they wanted to go. Mm-hmm. The only caveat was that they didn't want them to violate the privacy of any of the families there. But other than that, they had free reign on the planet, and they were given transportation, which they had a form of air transportation that are like our helicopters, but they were anti-gravity. They did not require any blades. They just were anti-gravity. They had that at their disposal. They brought with them 3 Jeeps, 10 motorcycles. They brought with them 90,000 pounds of equipment and supplies. So they had everything they needed, really.
Now,
and so they were actually housed and taken care of and watched over.
Absolutely. They were given their own quarters. At first in the hot portion of the planet, the equatorial region, but after a while they built a community for them in the northern quadrant, and there the temperature and the climate was quite pleasant, very much like Montana here. And that's where they stayed for the final 7 years of their visitation there.
It's interesting, Patricia, that they would be so welcomed and sort of folded into community. I'm not sure that would happen here. What do you think?
Well, it kind of did. I mean, this is the backstory that I want to ask you, Len, about, because there is a long history with extraterrestrials landing here, and these are extraterrestrials. At this point, we're not talking about interdimensionals or energetic beings. We're talking about beings from another planet. And the spaceships that crashed in New Mexico, there were 2 different crash sites, according to your book, and one of the extraterrestrials survived. One of the EVs survived.
Yeah, that made all the difference in the world. That was the key. The fact that one of them survived was the key to the whole adventure. That's what made it possible.
And tell our audience, if you would, how we dealt with this. I mean, how did we handle this one extraterrestrial that survived? Because this is just incredible.
Yeah, he was taken to Los Alamos laboratories in New Mexico, where they gave him a habitation of quarters. They set up quarters for him, and they brought in people who could try to communicate with him, because communication was a big problem. Their language is totally different than ours. They don't speak in they don't vocalize the way we do. They speak in musical tones, high and low, and this was very, very hard for our people to comprehend. But we did succeed in communicating with him, and that's how we learned about his home planet, through him.
And he lived for how many years after the crash?
He lived for 5 years. He died in the summer of 1952.
And
so he was our guest for 5 years.
And from what you were saying, there were some real problems with communication, which, again, I find so interesting, because in the UFO cases that I've read about or I've known about firsthand, the people that were taken had a complete understanding of communication with them via mind reading and mind communication. But here with the EBs, it seemed to be a constant source of irritation in some ways, because our people had trouble mastering the vocalizations that were part of the EB language, and the EBs were having trouble understanding our language and even our date system and our coordinates. So when they had to land here and meet up with certain dignitaries, there was concern about were they going to be in the right place at the time we expected, right?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. But up until leading up to all that, don't forget they had been coming here for quite a long time prior to that incident in Roswell. So they knew quite a lot about our planet already. So that helped in making these arrangements. Even though coordinating the exact coordinates, the GPS coordinates, was not easy. It took a while to get that straightened out, but they did eventually.
So there wasn't really anything talked about in your book about any kind of mind reading capability or understanding through mind to mind. So they didn't have that ability?
No, there was no telepathic communication. Sign language was used initially, and one of the Ebens, a female, was proved to be very adept at English, and she became an invaluable resource both when they arrived here and on Serpo. She was the key. They called her EBE number 2. So, and I've written extensively about her. The commander wrote a lot about her in his diary.
Mhm. Yes. Now, so after this extraterrestrial passed away, and there were some communications that took place, because he had a communicator with him, and he was actually able to send messages back to his home planet and let them know that his other crew members had died on impact. He had survived, and he wanted them to send a ship to get him, but then they told him it was going to be another number of years before they would do that, or could do that.
They told him 10 years, exactly. The communication device that was on the Roswell craft, the Los Alamos scientists could not get it to work for most of the 5 years that he remained alive. It was only just before he died that one of the scientists figured out that why not try and hook it back up to the power source on the craft, which they had. And when they did that, they got it to work. But what was interesting about that was the alien hadn't figured that out. It was one of our people that figured it out.
That is
and
so strange.
Once they got it to work, he was able to start sending messages to his home planet, and he sent 6 messages to his planet before he died.
So that basically allowed our people to continue communication with the people of his planet.
Exactly. Our scientists then, after he died, they continued to work with it, and eventually we sent them basically a textbook of English, figuring that they could probably learn English better than we could learn their language, which was very bizarre. And sure enough, that turned out to be the case. They picked up English a lot easier than we could pick up their language, and eventually we were communicating with them in rough English.
This is just so incredible. This is such a great exploration into outer space, just like Star Trek, but in a more primitive way. Now,
just imagine that these messages are going back and forth over 240 trillion miles. Think about that. That's the most amazing part of it. That device that they had was able to communicate over that distance. That was amazing.
It is amazing. And how long did it take, like once a message was sent to that planet, do you know how long it would take for them to respond or to get the message and then respond?
No, I don't. I don't know that. And Anonymous did not give us that information, but my guess would be that it took days, perhaps months. I don't know.
And
but
what an incredibly far distance to have a message travel. It's just amazing.
It is. We actually got much better at that scientifically over the years, and now that communication is very fast. They were able to come up with these chemical lasers that push the signal and speed it up, and we can now communicate with their planet much faster than we could in those days.
It's just incredible.
It is incredible. I'm curious if you know why that being passed while he was here on Earth for only 5 years.
Well, he was in a hostile environment. We didn't know what kind of food. We couldn't give him the kind of food he was used to. Couldn't attend to his medical. As I said, they had a completely different bloodstream, a completely different biochemistry. It's understandable. It's amazing that he lasted 5 years, frankly.
Well, that's true. So it was sort of a system failure, and
yeah, I guess so. I don't know what he died of. I don't have that information.
Is there any report on how the other travelers, the Americans, passed on their planet?
The first American to die died en route to Serpo. He died of a pulmonary embolism on the spacecraft. So only 11 Americans got there. Mm-hmm. Then 2 more died in the first 3 years. One was a doctor, and one was a linguist, I believe. And no, I'm sorry, one was a security man, and one was a doctor. They had numbers. One, the security man was 899. I believe the doctor was 704, something like that. And the one that died on the way to Serpo, his number was 308. He was one of the pilots, and that's another story that we have to talk about. We'll get there eventually. What happened to his body? We can discuss that whenever you're ready.
Oh, yeah, we definitely need to cover that. Yes. So, and one of them died in an accident, a fall or something?
Yeah. The one that died on the planet died of a fall, and the other one, the doctor, died of pneumonia. So we don't have all that information. But all of this, of course, is in that 3,000-page book, if we can ever get our hands on it. At Bowling Air Force Base.
That'd be great. Gosh.
I know, really would. Plus 3,000 photographs and cassette tapes and soil samples and everything.
Oh, my goodness.
Sitting in those vaults, yeah. Amazing
that
stuff.
Would be such a treasure to unleash that one. That would be great.
I know. It really would be. So,
we also have a caller on the line who has a question for you, Helene. Do you want to take that now?
Yes, we will. And we welcome Becky in Texas. You're live on the air, Becky.
Hi. Actually, Helene, you asked one of the questions. I was wondering what EB number 1 had died from. But my other question is do you have any idea how old he was, or maybe even how old they generally lived?
They live longer than we do. I think it's in the hundreds of their years, which are different, of course, than our years. But I think he was relatively young when he died. He was a mechanic. He was not a scientist, and that's probably the reason he hadn't figured out how to hook up the communication device. But he was very cooperative. He was very cooperative and very helpful, and tried very hard to communicate with our people.
Fascinating. Wow. Well, thank you for the question, Becky. We appreciate the call.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Have a great night.
You too.
Yeah. Wow. So hundreds of years, but of course their time cycle would be different than ours. So.
Yeah, they had two suns in the sky, and their planet revolved around one of the suns, but the other one was always in the sky, so it never got dark there. It never got completely dark on Serpo. It got dim, light got dim, but never dark because of the second sun in the sky.
Now, in your book also, Len, you talk about when this crew goes into, I think it was a crashed ship, and they were supposed to be, I guess, cleaning it out or taking things out or something, and they said that they all came out completely disoriented and couldn't even remember what they had seen inside the ship. Did they ever find out why that was?
Well, eventually, yeah, because they brought the ship to the Nevada test site on a tank trailer, and once they got it there, they eventually figured out what the problem was, and we started to send our people into it. But they all threw up. The first time they went into it, they all threw up when they came out, and they couldn't remember anything they'd seen in there. And that was amazing, yeah.
And
this
so
is
what caused that?
Well, I guess it had something to do with the gravity. You know, they produce their own gravity, that ship. And I think once you take people out of normal Earth gravity and put them into something like that, they could get sick just from the electromagnetic disturbances, you know. I mean, all of us are electromagnetic creatures. And so we react to any electromagnetic disturbances. And my guess is that's what caused the problem.
And as I recall in your book, you quoted one of the crew members saying that he would rather fly a rocket into hell than go back into that ship. So it was
Exactly.
It must have been a pretty unpleasant experience for
I know.
him.
So he'd rather take a rocket ship to hell than go back in. They wanted him to go back in to the craft, and he wouldn't do it. He was a fighter pilot. He was a fighter pilot, so he was probably used to not to anti-gravity, but to fighting back against high G rates like 4 Gs or 5 Gs. But he wouldn't go back in. He wouldn't go back in the ship.
Well, because it seems like there's a theme here, because you were also talking about when our 12 Americans were on the spaceship, they also described feeling disoriented.
Yeah, they did. They all got sick and nauseous, and of course they didn't like the food. So the initial part of the journey was kind of an ordeal for them. And so whatever made them sick at the craft site in Kingman also made them sick when they got on that shuttlecraft in Nevada. And I think it all had to do with the electromagnetic fields they were in.
Well, it is so interesting, and I can imagine how upsetting it would be to not only be here you are in a spaceship traveling to a different planet, and you're getting disoriented. I mean, that takes a lot of guts, a lot of courage to go through an experience like that. Again, I can't imagine. I just wish we knew more about this team commander and his crew, because my goodness, everything they went through.
I know. I really would like to get my hands on that information, and I'm working on it. I'm trying to get some of that information, pry it loose from the bowling repository. But I'm trying to use the Freedom of Information Act, but it's not easy to get that information.
No, they don't make it easy. I know that's a fact, and that's a shame too, in my opinion, because this is information.
I'm surprised they revealed this much. Really. I mean, we're lucky to have this much information.
Well, that's true as well. And I know when we had Laura Eisenhower on the show, that she also talked about a little bit. She alluded to the jump room and the Mars project, and there was another whole experience of sending some of our people to Mars through a jump room. Have you heard about that?
Yeah. I know. I've talked to Andrew Basaggio. I know him pretty well, and I listened to his story. It's a remarkable story. It really is. Hard to believe. And that's even more fantastic than the Serpo story.
Wow. It's amazing what we're not privy to. It's very upsetting, too. I wish we had all of this information. And again, just from the heroic actions of these 12 people and just being able to honor their memories appropriately, as we should be allowed to do. These are our brothers who went there.
Exactly. And if our identities are ever really revealed, that would be wonderful, that we could give them the credit that they deserve, That history really deserves to know about these men, these 12 men.
Yeah, they shouldn't have passed in such secrecy. And you said the last person passed in 2002?
Yeah, 2002. They absorbed a lot of radiation on Serpo, and it shortened their lives. I don't know what their ages were when they left. My guess would be that the commander was probably close to 40. We know he was an Air Force colonel prior to the trip. So he was probably in his 50s when he got back. But if they did last till 2002, that means they lived another 20 or 30 years. So that wasn't too terrible bad.
Well, we have another question online here, so we will welcome Rowan in Rockport, Massachusetts. Welcome, Rowan. You're live on the air.
Hi. I'm 13 years old. I'm just starting to kind of learn about this stuff. It's really fascinating. I was wondering, can any of their ships travel at light speed?
Yeah. Don't forget they traveled 40 light years to get to Serpo in a matter of 10 months. So
wow.
in order to accomplish that means they traveled at 40 times the speed of light.
Oh, wow.
Because they got there in less than one Earth year, and they traveled 240 trillion miles, which was 40 light years, that means they traveled 40 times the speed of light. And according to what our people learned, they did this by traveling through wormholes. And traveling through a wormhole is virtually instantaneous. But apparently the 10 months was necessary because they had to navigate to and from these wormholes and accelerate to light speed and decelerate. This was what was so time consuming. But the entire trip took about 10 months from our solar system to Zeta Reticuli.
So where did they get the information on where these doors or wormholes were?
Well, the aliens seemed to know where they were. They had, according to what Anonymous tells us, their technology was about 50,000 years ahead of ours. So they had been traveling. They'd been traveling all over the galaxy. They were known to be explorers, and they had been all over the place.
Amazing. And
wow.
Rowan, you're 13 years old?
Yeah.
Wow. This is really resonating with you for some reason, huh?
Yeah.
Well, bless you, dear, and thank you for listening to the show.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for calling, Rowan.
That was interesting to have such a young man calling in, huh, Patricia?
I know.
Yeah.
He had a great question. It was a terrific question.
Yeah. I'm glad to see the young people getting interested in this story because that's good. That's a good sign.
It is. It really is. So let's see. We should probably take another break, Helene, and then when we come back, let's talk about what happened to the first person who passed. And then there was a whole big showdown about what was happening with the body. So stay tuned, everybody, because this is an incredible story, another aspect of this incredible story. And if you have a question for Len, please call 646-478-0828.
Are you ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with cosmic fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the Source. With Cosmic Fusion, the Source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. Sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion, www.KOSMICfusion.com, to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
And that was our new commercial from Kavita and her crew down in New Zealand. And I just love her, don't you, Patricia?
Yes, I think you have said this before, and so have I. Kavita is the most powerful woman on the planet, and everybody should make time to go to CosmicFusion.com with a K and take a look at what they're offering. And you and I have experienced it firsthand, so we know how powerful the work is that Kavita is doing. And it's not, I wouldn't even call it work. I shouldn't even use that word, that four-letter word, because there's an ease of transformation with Cosmic Fusion that I have not found anywhere else. So,
well, I heard that she's a cosmic grid master, and that is what she truly is. And It's amazing that she's so far out in public, and I have to say there are a few others around the planet the way I understand it, but she is truly public and truly giving of her time, her compassion, and her extreme power to help people all over the world.
Yes, she is so devoted to helping other people, and with such a wonderful, wonderful method, because it's true. In the commercial, that's what they're talking about, is this ease of transformation, and that's exactly what it is. So there's a lot of material on their website that people can read, and also the meditation that's free on their website is incredible. So highly recommend to take a look at CosmicFusion.com and sign up for some of their workshops, and oh my goodness, their webinars, they're all wonderful.
They really are.
And powerful.
We also have a new product on our supernaturalgirls.com website at the store tab, and that is Becky Andreassen's powerful and incredible prosperity prayer. And I just want to say a word about prosperity, because prosperity is a mindset of abundance. It's a mindset of welcoming everything that the universe wants to bring you in happiness, in joy, also in money too, Patricia, because we all like that. But prosperity is really at all levels, isn't it? And her prayer is phenomenal.
It's about abundance in every aspect of our lives, and I've listened to the prosperity prayer many times, and I know you have too. And
yes, I have.
In each time, I experience a door opening and a frequency connection to prosperity and abundance getting stronger. And that's what this prayer does. It just goes, the energy goes where it needs to go, and it heals whatever needs to be healed so that you can have a better relationship with these things in your life. And it is very much worth the time to read about it, and if it feels right, purchase it, and 10 minutes can change your whole life here.
It really can, and I guess we're saying that it's a prayer and it's powerful, but that's not really explaining it properly, because what it really is an energetic transmission from the angelic realm that comes through right to the core of your soul. And so I hope everybody goes over and takes a look at that.
Yeah, that's the best explanation I've ever heard, just what you just said. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's really phenomenal, and I love listening to it, and it is only a few minutes, and the more you listen to it, the deeper you're able to open to it, and it's just fantastic. And I am enjoying Len so much, aren't you? It's a fascinating story.
This is a tremendous conversation, because, again, usually we're talking about extraterrestrials coming here, but this is a rare event where we're able to talk about people from the United States of America going off planet. I mean, this is incredible. I'm loving this.
Well, let's get back to him now. Everyone stay tuned and give us a call at 646-478-0828. We'll be right back. Live on the air with Len Kasten, who wrote the book, Secret Journey to Planet Serpo. That's Serpo. You can find that on Amazon.com. And Len, if you would give your website address again, that would be great.
Okay, that's et-secrethistory.com, et-secrethistory.com. And you can order the book right through the website. You can either click through to Amazon or to the publisher, Bearing Company, or actually buy it directly from me. Either way.
So we want to hear about what happened when the EBs took possession of the body of the first crew member who passed away from an embolism, you said, pulmonary embolism, on the way to the planet.
Yes, they took the possession of. Now, of course, the commander was not aware of what happened to the body. For a while, it took them a while to get accustomed to being on the planet and to getting oriented and set up. Finally, he said to them, "Where is the body of 308?" And they said, "The body no longer exists. We have used it." And he said, what do you mean? They said, well, we've used it in our experiments and used all the parts and took all the blood, and it's gone. Well, that team commander became very irate, very angry. There was a confrontation took place. He explained to them that on Earth we value having the body of the deceased, burying, giving it a proper burial, etc. And then he said that the body belonged to the United States government, planet Earth, and he wanted to know what happened. They said, well, it no longer exists. They said we had the body in a locker, and he said, well, I'd like you to open the locker. They said, we can't do that. So then he told the security man to go get the guns and the explosives. They were going to do it themselves. And then EB number 2, the female, who was more or less the translator, said, she put her hand on his chest. She said, please, please, no guns. And she used the word beg 3 times. She begged him, no drug. And then finally the commander realized that getting angry was not going to be the solution to anything, because here they were on a distant planet, and there was no way they were going to win any confrontation.
That's
so they
for
calmed
sure.
down. They calmed down eventually and said that we'd like to speak to the doctor in charge. And they said, well, she said, well, you can go to the building and talk with him. They said, no, we're not leaving this body, this what was considered to be the capsule that they kept the body in. So she said, okay, well, we'll send the doctor over here. They sent him over, and it turned out that he spoke English very well. They were able to communicate with him very easily. And he explained to them that they had used the parts of his friend's body to create other entities and to clone an entity that was part human and part Eben.
Wow.
And at that point, the commanders, they allowed him to come into the building and to see these creatures that they had created. And the commander said they were hideous looking. They were horrible looking creatures. None of them, however, were intelligent, and he asked them if they were animals. And finally, the doctor understood the word animal and said, no, these are not humans. They're animals. And the commander said, well, where did they come from? And he said, we've gotten them from other planets. And then he said, I would like to see the clone creature that you created from 308's body. And the doctor said, fine, and took him into that building and showed him the clone. And that made him really sick to his stomach, because the creature was, he looked like an Eben, but he had larger hands and feet, and he was quite different. And finally the commander said, I've seen enough, and I can't take this anymore. Let's get out of here. And his final remark was, he thought it was all evil stuff, and so his final remark was, I have seen the dark side of this civilization. But, he didn't understand the science at that point. He didn't understand that to them it was all just science. There was nothing dark about it. They were simply doing experiments with DNA that ultimately we came to understand ourselves. And we're probably doing the same thing ourselves right now. So.
Yeah, we probably are in labs somewhere. But I'm sure to him, I mean, if we go back in time, it was blasphemous at the very least.
Yeah, well, 1965, don't forget, 1965, they had just discovered DNA only a few years prior to that.
Yes.
So, it was
and
all
also, again, seeing this person that they trained with and everything else, and parts of him used to create these strange-looking, or this strange-looking creature. I'm sure there's a lot that ran through his mind. Was there any consciousness attached to this? And is there any part of his friend still left in these beings? Those are the questions I would have.
I know, exactly. And that's what got him so sick to his stomach. And but ultimately, they all calmed down. At one point, the security man started cursing at the aliens, and he calmed him down. They all went back to their quarters and talked about it and realized that there was nothing they could do about it, just to accept it. And actually, later on, when the other 2 Americans died, they were treated much differently.
So the Ebens realized that was not something that was wasn't going to sit well with the Americans, so they did
Exactly.
give, I think one of them even got a real burial. Is that true?
Yes, they gave them a real burial, yes. Uh-huh.
And that's how they treat their own, isn't it? Don't they also bury their own when they die?
Yeah. Yes, they do. They do. They bury them in metallic capsules or coffins, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. And what about, are there children on this planet? Because it seems like they're just all a bunch of adults from the description.
No. The commander wrote in his diary that each family they only were allowed to have 2 children and no more. And they did see children, yes. There were children there.
They did, okay.
But don't forget, they were not allowed into the private quarters of the families, so they didn't see too much of them. But the ones that they saw mostly at these larger gatherings were all adults.
Mm-hmm. And it's a very different society in many, many ways. I mean, the way you talk about it in the book, it's like a military-industrial complex. Is that how you describe it?
Ultimately, I came to the conclusion that it was a police state, basically a police state. Pretty much every move that they made was determined for them. They had to wear a device on their belts and obey whatever they were told to do from these devices. Plus, they had to do certain types of things every day, dictated by this large mirror on top of a tower. As it rotated, much like a sundial, every time it changed into a different position, they would change what they were doing and start doing something else. So it was highly regimented, and the soldiers were always patrolling, even though they didn't carry weapons that were visible. They were always patrolling and watching out and making sure that everybody towed the line. It was not a very pleasant environment.
No, it doesn't sound that way. Now, did they have crime?
You said
did they have people that didn't toe the line?
There was virtually no crime, according to it, because I guess maybe they were all brainwashed. I don't know.
Or they knew the consequences would be so horrible. So,
But there were happy people, and our people discovered that their IQ was roughly, and according to our measurements, was in the range of 165, which meant they were very intelligent. Yeah, very intelligent. And they were also very kind and caring people, basically. And we were very pleased to find that out.
Yeah, and then also there were, you said, 2 classes. There were the scientists that were kind of the elevated class, and then the rest of the people. Is that how it was? Pretty much, because our people were never introduced to the top-tier scientists and industrialists. Our people dealt mainly with the lower level, and apparently they didn't think that their scientists didn't think they could learn anything from us, so they weren't terribly interested in meeting them. And but only in the case of that doctor who explained the biotechnology to them did they meet anybody from that category, with the upper levels of the scientists and the intellectuals.
What kind of homes did they live in?
They were sort of like huts, really, adobe-type structures with 4 rooms each, and there was a room for sleeping, a room very much like ours, and very simple, very Spartan accommodations.
Now, while our people were on that planet, they also had an ambassador here.
Yes, they left one Eben here. He was taken to Los Alamos.
And what happened with him while he was here for 10 years?
This is not discussed in the Serpo material. I don't know what happened to him, except I assume that he was brought to Los Alamos, and since we've now learned to communicate with him very well, that he was involved in our program to back engineer their craft. So I'm sure he did help out with that as well. That's a whole different story. We'll get to that whenever you're ready.
Well, if you want to go into it now, that's fine. I mean, this back engineering has been a very controversial subject for years, so do tell what you know about this.
Well, it became clear to me that alien craft that crashed at Roswell, which was only about 30 feet in diameter, could not have come all that distance by itself, that it's unlikely that such a small craft traveled 40 light years. So it seemed obvious, even to the scientists at Los Alamos, that there was probably a mothership somewhere in orbit around our planet. And communications probably did commence between the Los Alamos scientists and the mothership. And, of course, the scientists would have said, well, why don't you just send another craft down here to pick up the bodies of these people? And ultimately, they did come to a decision, an agreement, and the Evans did send another craft down to Arizona, and it landed in Kingman, Arizona. And that craft was brought to the Nevada test site and was given to us as a gift for us to use to back engineer and to create our own version of the anti-gravity craft. And there were four Evans on that craft. They were brought to Los Alamos, and they helped us to back engineer the craft. So by 1962, by the time we actually sent, by 1964 or 65, by the time we actually sent our people to Serpo, we had already back engineered one of their craft. We knew a lot about these people, what they were all about. We knew a lot about their culture, their civilization. So, we weren't just sending 12 Americans across the galaxy recklessly. We knew a lot about them because we had been dealing with them in the back engineering program at Nevada test site for almost 10 years. But Kennedy was not given that information. He did not know that. All he knew about was that they had suggested an exchange program. Mm-hmm. He knew nothing about the back engineering program.
Wow.
That was kept secret by MJ-12.
So it's kind of interesting, and I think this is something our audience needs to hear, is that our president doesn't necessarily have a high enough clearance to find out all of what's been going on with the technology within the government. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, they're on a need to know basis. Exactly.
So it makes you wonder who's in charge.
It was MJ-12. MJ-12 was in charge. Anything to do with the extraterrestrials was dealt with by MJ-12, which was created by President Truman in 1947. And they were high-level scientists and military people who were calling all the shots.
This is wild. I just love this. I'm hoping that we'll hear from some of our other listeners, because unless they're like me and they're sitting here in awe of this entire story, your book has such a wealth of information, Len. I highly recommend it to people who are interested in this topic, because you have a very orderly way of presenting it right from the very beginning. I mean, you're talking about even Antarctica, which we have heard stories about also on this show, and then bringing it all the way up to Hitler and World Wars and everything else. I mean, there's a lot of, and a very long history to all of these experiences with extraterrestrials.
Yeah, I tried to give a good background so that people wouldn't think that craft that crashed at Roswell that's where it all began. We knew a lot about the aliens and their craft for many years, all during World War II. It was nothing terribly new, and that's why it was kept secret, because we knew where it was from right off the bat.
And some of this technology obviously has made its way into our lifestyle today.
Well, we know about through Colonel Corso's book, The Day After Roswell, that a lot of the artifacts from the Roswell craft were used and were seeded into American industry, and things like Kevlar and night vision and semiconductors. All of that came from the Roswell craft. We know that now. We know that already.
Wow. so Kevlar came from there. Well, that makes sense. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And then could you go back again in time with us and talk about this whole Antarctica thing? What in the world was going on there?
Well, the Germans had been developing these anti-gravity circular discs for a long time, all through the war. Then in 1938, they created this colony in Antarctica underneath the ice. They dug out a whole hill, a whole mountain. And the reason for that, most people would say, well, why would a country on the brink of starting World War II be sending men and materials to a far distant frozen continent and building a community under the ice? And my theory on that is that they were already partnered with the aliens from Alpha Draconis, so-called reptilians. And that's where they were getting the technology from to build these discs. So the Antarctica colony became a scientific and a technological colony. That's what it was based on. And they were already anticipating traveling to other star systems from Antarctica. So the German people knew nothing about this. This was strictly the scientists, top-level scientists, and engineers that went there. But after the war ended, we sent an attack force down there in 1946 to destroy that colony. In 1946 and 47, that was called Operation High Jump. And Admiral Byrd was headed up that task force. And
so somehow we found out what they were doing, what the Germans had done, and we
from the British. The British knew all about it. The British intelligence knew all about it, because don't forget they had the Falkland Islands, and they were down there already. They knew about the Nazi base, and that's where we got the intelligence from. And Admiral Byrd headed up that task force called Operation High Jump, and it was supposed to be a 6-month operation. We sent 4,800 Marines, 13 ships, including an aircraft carrier, planes that were capable of bombing the colony, but they were repelled by the flying saucers when they got there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's right. And supposedly 68 Americans died in that engagement.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
What happened? I mean, they must have gotten past the spaceship somehow, because it was closed, right? I mean, they terminated that area. Or did they?
They were not able to. They were not able to get past the flying saucers. The saucers came out of the water and engaged the ships. They were supposed to be. The operation was supposed to take 6 months. They left after 2 months, and supposedly lost 68 men. And
so they were unsuccessful. That mission was a failure.
It was a failure. So when Admiral Byrd got back to Washington, he told them about it and testified before Congress. And actually, the Pentagon was very concerned that we were now subject to an invasion. And that was in early 1947, in March of 47. But Byrd actually came back in February of 47, and he testified in March of 47.
So I wonder, why weren't we invaded? I mean, they clearly had a superior technology.
Well, 3 months later came Roswell. And that changed everything, because that changed everything, because we had one of the aliens survived, and that was our answer to Antarctica, was the fact that the Ebens were now our friends, and we were going to learn the technology that we needed to learn from them. And that's what happened.
So there seems to be a big difference between these beings that were piloting the craft from Antarctica versus the Ebens. You referred to them as reptilian. We've certainly heard that over and over again. Can you tell us something about them?
All we know is that the craft, when our ships got close to the tunnel, the craft came out of the water, and actually there is a video, a Russian video on YouTube showing the craft showing the saucers flying over the craft, over the ships, and firing at them. How they got that video, I have no idea, but that's out there. And
so what happened to all the men that were on these ships? Some of them must have come back and spoke about this incident.
Well, you know how secret they can be when they want to be, So all we know is that we lost about 68 men, and when Admiral Byrd tried to reveal this information to Congress, he wound up in a mental institution. They wouldn't let him give any more. They would not let him give any more interviews or any more information.
So they locked him up because they were afraid he was going to say too much?
Basically, yes.
Well, he must have been pretty upset that he lost all of those men in that mission.
He supposedly flew into a rage while testifying at Congress, and he suggested that they turn Antarctica into a thermonuclear test range.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so his suggestion was to nuke the whole place. And I guess they were debating that possibility when Roswell occurred.
Oh, my.
And that opened up a whole new chapter.
Yes, it did. In a good way, I guess, because otherwise we might have nuked Antarctica.
Yeah, who knows?
You never know. So, wow, it did change history for sure.
Yeah, it did.
It's just incredible progression of events.
Exactly. The Evens became our good friends, and we got a lot of technology from them. So that leveled the playing field.
It really did. My goodness. Well, Helene, I see we have another caller who would like to ask a question.
Okay. Let's see if my buttons will work now. They need to work their magic. Working magic. Well, we have Rebecca in Massachusetts, and we welcome you live on the line. Rebecca, hello.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. So I guess what I've learned about Admiral Byrd was that he ended up going to what some would call Agartha, which was is an inner world here in Earth, and that's what the tunnels were, access there. So I guess I'm wondering what your guest is, what he knows about that or what his feelings are.
Admiral Byrd's plane was gone for a couple of hours in Antarctica, and the speculation was that he wrote that he had visited an inner Earth community or civilization during that time, and that he had been warned never to come back to Antarctica with weaponry. And that's the reason that Antarctica became an international continent. That's speculation. We don't know anything more about that other than supposedly this diary that he wrote, and I don't know where that diary exists or where it is, but we do know about Operation High Jump, and that there was an engagement, a military engagement in Antarctica between the Nazis and between the Americans. By the way, that wasn't strictly an American adventure. There were 4 other countries involved in that, including Norway, I believe. It was an international armada that went down there. But whether or not he actually was taken into the inner Earth or not, that's the story that's been going around. My own opinion is that happened at the North Pole, not at the South Pole. Mm-hmm. That was a whole different ball game, whole different story. Because he had been to both poles,
Okay, I didn't know that.
He flew over the North Pole as well.
And so the reptilian, because it sounds to me like the other experience in the inner Earth realm was more of a peaceful nature, certainly not reptilian in nature. Exactly.
That was a whole different kind of an experience, and I don't know where his diary came from or how valid it is, but that supposedly was written in his diary.
Okay, that's really interesting. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for the call, Rebecca.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Rebecca.
you.
Thanks for calling in.
You bet. Thanks.
That's fascinating. So there is a storyline out there that Admiral Byrd actually visited Inner Earth, and I had not heard that before.
Yeah, that storyline is out there. That's correct. Yeah, it's been making the rounds for many years, actually.
Yeah, I've heard about that, and I've always been fascinated with all the Inner Earth stories that I've heard. I've also heard there's entrances to Inner Earth near the caves in, I believe, Tennessee. There's been reports of people that have found these entrances and have actually gone inside and had communication with the beings that live under the Earth's surface.
And what did they find out about them?
Well, there's several things I've read. Who knows if these are, what these are really coming from, but that they have also mastered certain levels of technology and are way ahead of us, and that they age differently. They're not exposed to the the rays of the sun, so they don't have the same aging that we do, and that there are also all these bodies of water that they travel on, and I guess that their skin, some of them are described as having blue skin. So it's who knows where these stories come from, and
so
if they're true.
This isn't an energetic doorway that goes into another earthly dimension. It's an actual physical beings that live under the surface of the earth. Okay. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I heard that whole Inner Earth story in conjunction with Mount Shasta and the community of the Lemurians that had gone underground from Lemuria. They had been from another planet originally.
Yeah.
And that I thought that was Agartha. That's what I've heard. And Sheldon Neidl, who talks about it, says that's where Agartha really is, and that's where the entrance is, supposedly somewhere under Mount Shasta. So I don't know. There's so many stories going around. It's hard to, separate them.
It could be your next book, Len.
Yeah, right.
Just what you need, right? Another big mystery
to solve. I'm more interested in the teleportation story than I am in that, because that would make everything obsolete if that's true. If we can teleport,
really would.
Yeah, that's to me that's the most amazing story. Now,
is that any technology that we've picked up from the Ebens, the teleportation?
No, they did not. They Anonymous said they did not have any teleportation capabilities.
They seem to have some definite limitations. I keep going back to the language issue, which I was very surprised to see how limited they were. Of course, I expect that from us, that we're going to be limited, but I didn't expect they would be too.
Well,
yeah, and also their lack of culture. Their lack of culture. They had basically simple-minded recreational things, dancing and singing and playing drums and things, but they seem to have a very primitive culture. Like ours is so rich. Our culture is so rich in the arts and the sciences and music and dance, and they had a very, very elementary kind of a civilization, very plain and simple. It's almost Spartan. I would call it very Spartan civilization.
But it seems like they're physical beings, just like Earthlings, and so they were, even though they were far advanced than we are scientifically, that they were still completely physical, just the way we are on Earth, and didn't really attend too much to, telepathy and those kinds of things.
Right. Although our team did determine that they did believe in reincarnation, and they believed in a creator, it was quite different than ours, but that got the attention of the Catholic representatives. We did invite the Vatican to one of the landings in the 1990s in the mid-Pacific, and supposedly the Vatican was very pleased to find out that many of their beliefs were in accord with the Catholic religion. So there you go.
Wow.
What can I say? Yeah.
Wow is right. Well, that's why the Vatican put out that press release. When was that? Last year, Patricia?
Yeah, it was a fairly recent release, and they were making comments about, extraterrestrials.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah, they're very interested. They have a huge telescope right here in Arizona.
Yes, they do. I've heard that as well. And why?
Lake Morgan. Yeah, who knows?
Why?
I don't know.
I keep asking it.
They're into it. Let's face it. They're into it. They know that. Maybe they just realized that contact with extraterrestrials could change the entire complexion of the Catholic Church.
Definitely.
Essentially, yeah.
Yes. Well, that and everything. And I think, I don't know, I'd like to know your opinion on this, of why the government continues to keep so much under wraps about aliens, extraterrestrials, and spaceships. Why?
It has to do with the technology and the science, I think. Did you read my whole book, the entire book?
Yes.
So you read the part about the technology and the science, the last chapter? Yes. So some of that technology is, one of the things that they had was something called a particle beam weapon. This was the same as Nikola Tesla's death ray. It's an incredibly powerful thing. I don't think our government wants any of this technology known or out there and available to others because it's potentially game changers, far beyond nuclear energy, far beyond it. So I think it's just the technology is too explosive.
Yeah, but why would these extraterrestrials be dealing only with the American government and not with other governments?
We have become their good friends now. They have been back since this first visit. They have been back 11 times. And we always invite other countries' representatives to be involved in these landings. So we spread the word. And we've had UN representatives. We've had Vatican representatives. We had representatives from China and from Russia at their landing in the mid-Pacific in 2010. So we have opened it up. We haven't kept it private to the U.S. And the inner circles of all these other countries know about it. But I think the EBIS are allowing us to be their diplomatic representatives on this planet because they are our friends. We are their friends, and we have the technology that most approximates theirs at this point in time. So that makes sense.
So the EBINs they always go through government channels, but then we have other reports of extraterrestrials contacting individuals. And
the EBINs do not do that. The EBINs do not do that. They do not abduct anybody. They go strictly through diplomatic channels. And I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think they should be admired for that.
Yeah, I mean, it appears that they're trying to follow some kind of protocol, and and it is to be admired on one hand, but on the other hand, where we continue to have things kept from us, it's a little difficult to just sit back and wait and hope and wish that someday we're going to hear about all this from our own government.
Whatever our agreement is with the EBINs, it involves the fact that they would agree to keep their presence secret and limited in return for XYZ. I don't know what that XYZ is, but it's something we can give to them, and so that's the nature of the agreement. That's the nature of the diplomatic agreement.
And I wonder what we are giving them, since they're so much more advanced.
Well, I think they like the fact that they have a colony here 40 light years away from theirs that can be one of their stopping places, a jumping-off point for them for other extended trips into the galaxy. I don't know. I don't know.
And because their own planet, you talk about their home planet, actually was destroyed by volcanoes. And so the planet Serpo is a planet they traveled to.
Yeah,
it wasn't their home.
Yeah, just like Battlestar Galactica. They all got on ships and left and went to this new planet.
And there was a great war, just like when, Star Wars actually happened.
Exactly. They had a 100-year war, and I'm sure that war decimated their population, and that's probably why there are only 650,000 of them now. That may be why there's such a small group. But they eventually won that war using particle beam weapons. And they defeated the other civilization, which we know nothing about, really.
So George Lucas must be one psychic guy, because he tuned into all this and created Star Wars, which was, according to the Ebens, really happened. This is amazing.
I'm not so sure it was all psychic. I think there might have been actual communication going on there. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
And communication in what way?
Well, he wrote one movie called The Clone Wars, didn't he?
Yes.
And the Ebens know how to clone. So when he wrote that in the 70s, cloning was not even on the radar. So he might have gotten that information from them. I don't know.
So this is interesting. If I ever meet George Lucas, I am going to ask him this question, because where did he get this information? I want to know.
Well, when you cross over, you can ask him all the questions you want.
Yeah. Hopefully that won't be anytime soon. So.
And when you get there, please make sure to send the information back to us.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. I will definitely plan on that one. And always to the most unsuspecting skeptics.
I gather you're a believer in the afterlife, right?
Oh, yes.
Have you had any afterlife people on your show?
Yes, we have.
Who have you had on your show?
We had Robin Foy on the show from the Skull Experiment.
Oh, no kidding.
Do you know Robin?
No.
He was
Have you ever had Victor Zammit, Z-A-M-M-I-T?
Now, is he the attorney who just came out with a book about the afterlife?
Yeah, he's from Sydney, Australia.
Yes.
I would get him. I would get him on the show.
Yeah, he's on our list, because the Afterlife Project is something that's very near and dear to Helene and my heart. So we loved having Robin on the show. He's been immensely informative and entertaining to our entire audience about the Skull Project. And he's going to be working with us in the near future on a project that we have planned that's quite similar. So we'll keep everybody informed about that. But I am aware he also recommended that we interview this attorney on our show about the afterlife and proof of the afterlife.
I would recommend. Zammit is very smart and very knowledgeable. What does the Skull Project do again? What is that all about?
Well, it began in Skull in the UK when Robin and his wife and several other mediums began sitting several times a week to bring physical mediumship back, and they had an amazing 5 years of real proof come through apports. They had things appear on film without the film ever being taken out of the canister. They had beings appear in the room. They had conversations with, I believe it was, who was it, Helene? Was it Truman? It was somebody. There were
Winston
Churchill.
Winston
Churchill, thank you. Yeah, some very important people that came through to speak with them, and it was a very successful experiment, and the ending of the experiment was just as sensational as everything that happened before it. So it's a great story. Robin has a book out about it, and there's also a wonderful movie on YouTube called Afterlife, The Skull Experiment, for people who are interested in seeing it. Very well done. It has a lot of photographic evidence.
Yeah, I'd like to look into that. That sounds fascinating. I get Zammit's newsletter, and I have to tell you that some of the stuff in his weekly newsletter is unbelievable. So I would highly recommend signing up for his newsletter.
Will do, and we're going to get him on the show too. Helene and I have to get ready for this, Len, because when we bring people like that on the show, their spirit teams pay us a visit, a personal visit, several nights before the show.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And
no kidding.
They do.
the spirit teams that come in from the other side, that work, those beings that work together, are very powerful. And so it's
How do they manifest to you?
They manifest just about like physical people.
You're kidding. You actually see them?
I see them mostly in my third eye.
But I experience them physically.
Yeah.
They touch me and physically touched me, and they appeared so real to me. I could see the lace on one of the women's dresses. So, yes.
Wow.
They're very powerful because when they work, just like a group here, when we work together as a group here, we're more powerful. And the same is true on the other side. So when the spirit team, they have a group, and there were at least 22 that came to visit us. When they work together like that, they can do a lot more. They can project their energy a lot further, a lot more powerfully. So it's very different than when we tune into somebody who's just passed and they want to give a message to a relative. It's a very, very different experience.
Yeah, I can see that. Now, have you heard of Leslie Flint, Flint?
That name rings a bell. Who's Leslie Flint?
He's a materializing medium from England who creates a voice box he creates a voice box using the exuding material from the body. What do you call that? Ectoplasm.
Ectoplasm.
Mm-hmm. Ectoplasm, yes. And the voice box is right off his right shoulder, and the spirits can use that voice box to speak in their natural voice and communicate. And check him out on the internet.
I will. I think we need to get that box, Helene.
Well, it's ectoplasm.
I think that the voice will come into the room, especially when they come in a group. But what the spirit team likes to do also is pull our energy field into their space, which is the way I've experienced it a little bit differently than you, Patricia.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's all fascinating, but this is very different, clearly, than the extraterrestrial experience. Yeah. Even though it's all under the same paranormal topic, it's very different than that.
Yeah, right. Now we're dealing strictly with physical phenomena.
Right, and this is a combination of everything. But even with the skull experiment, they did have an ET come to visit them, who they called the Blue Man. And
really?
Yes, they did. In fact, there's pictures, if you do a search on the Internet, and also he's in the film, you will see the photograph of him. And so they had an experience as well. And what Robin did share with us is that he experienced tremendous love from the Blue Man. It was just an outpouring of love. So all of their experiences, I'm happy to say, were very positive with the spirit team from the other side and the other entities that came to talk to them. And
I think a lot of the aliens are very comfortable in the fourth dimension, especially the Greys, because they go through walls and they go through physical barriers. So they must exist in the fourth dimension as well as our dimension, I would say.
That's very interesting. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but that's not true of the Evens. The Evens were strictly physical.
Yeah, they are physical. And then let me ask you a question about these men in black. Are they at all related to any of these things you've studied?
No, not regarding the Evens. There's no connection with the Evens. The Evens are very straightforward. They're not into anything mystical or anything subversive or no abductions, none of that. They're strictly into biotechnology and physicality. So it doesn't involve anything to do with the Men in Black. No, the Men in Black, I understand, are sort of part physical and part interdimensional. Isn't that right?
Oh, really? I know they're weird. I mean, they talk about people who've encountered them have some very strange stories to tell, and they don't seem. They look human, but they communicate in a way that gives people a sense that they're not. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yes, that's kind of strange. So I was just wondering if they were at all associated with the Ebens, but apparently not, which I guess is a good thing.
Yeah, no connection whatsoever that I know of.
Gosh, this is great. This is just, I just love this topic.
Well, let's face it, as Carl Sagan said, there are billions and billions of planets out there, and it's an amazing, there are some amazing civilizations, I'm sure, all different.
Yes, and like you said, we probably have had other programs like this. We just haven't heard about them.
Now, Patricia, did you read the 12th appendix in my book?
I don't know if I got to your appendix. I have it right in front of me here. got your epilogue and all about the translation devices and things like that, sound weapons. But what did you want to point out? Because feel free to point it out to the audience as well, because I know that if they haven't bought the book yet, I'm sure they will. But in the meantime, you can fill them in.
That appendix number 12 is called the Framework, and it was sent into the Serpo website by somebody very high up in the intelligence community, because it's a complete admission. It's a complete disclosure in 12 short declarations of everything we know about extraterrestrials. By the time you get through reading that particular appendix, you have to say, well, this is disclosure, because he admits everything. It's all in that one appendix.
I am scrolling down to that now so that I can see that. I mean, yes, because I remember at the beginning of your book, you talk about the appendix and how much great information is there, and people should refer to it. So, yeah, I remember you saying that at the very beginning.
As far as I'm concerned, that one appendix is complete disclosure by the very highest people in the intelligence community. I don't know what else we could ask for.
And you said that was Appendix 12?
Yeah.
I'm at 5. 6. All right. 8. Yeah, this is, oh my goodness. Now, do you go and do you present talks about this to the different UFO conferences and things?
Yeah, I haven't been doing a lot of that, but I'm open to that, sure. Yeah, I just did a book signing here in Phoenix, and we had 100 people showed up. I did a PowerPoint presentation on the evening on Serpo, and a lot of interest.
Yeah, people want to know. People want to understand all of this. So it's great that you have a book that puts it out there, and again, in such a logical format. It makes total sense. I mean, I have to tell you, quite honestly, Len, when I heard the title of your book, at first I was very skeptical. Even me, who I love the whole UFO field, been involved with it for so many years, but I was a little skeptical. Did we really send people off planet to an outpost? I couldn't believe it. But then when I began reading your book, I was like, you know what? This just feels true. Bottom line. Yeah. And of course, you present it so well, and it's a great read anyways, on top of everything that you've done here with documentation. It is a great read. Okay, here I'm at it now. Appendix 12, A Framework for Public Acclamation. Okay, so this is an MJ-12 staff document from 1999.
Exactly.
Wow.
If you read off those 12 items, everything is encapsulated in those 12 admissions.
Here it is. It says, intelligent life does exist on other planets and throughout the universe. That's number 1. Craft not of human design or manufacture are operating in and around the land, sea, and air of Earth. Number 2. Number 3, intelligent beings other than Homo sapiens are conducting various missions on this planet. These beings have been coming here for tens of thousands of years. I mean, this is great. It's great to see this in writing like this.
All wrapped up in those 12 declarations. So it's not as though they're keeping that secret. They're admitting it. You just got to know where to look. That's all.
Yes, that's right. You have to know where to look, and you can look right in your fabulous book. I mean, people should run out and buy this if they're interested in the subject. This has all the information they need to really begin to accept this as a reality here. We have sent people off planet.
This was revealed for a reason. The government really wants us to know this now. Don't forget, this program was 50 years ago that they went there, and the time has come for us to know this information now, and that's why it's being revealed. It's a deliberate part of the public acclamation program.
Why now?
Well, it's 25 years after, and under federal law, top secret information can be declassified after 25 years. That's why. That's why now.
No, but I understand that from that perspective, but why does the government want us to know this now? What's their motivation to tell us these things?
They've been wanting us to, they've been releasing it little by little. If you read the rest of that appendix, you'll see that they wanted to come out through science fiction, through Hollywood, through various ways, because it's like a steam kettle. You know, you can't keep this, if you keep it penned up too long, the final explosion will be devastating. But by releasing the steam a little bit at a time, they're getting us used to it through fiction, through science fiction, through Hollywood. Slowly but surely, our consciousness is getting accepting of all of these phenomena. So by the time all the truth is known, it won't be so shocking to us. You see, that's their plan.
That's their MO. Okay, so that's what they're up to. Interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. See, I also thought that one of the reasons they keep this under wraps is because they still want control. So if they have the information and they release it at their convenience or when they decide, then they're going to continue to maintain their positions of authority.
Exactly. But at least they're doing something about releasing it, and they are working with Hollywood people. They're working with people like Spielberg to slowly get the stuff out, and even George Lucas, in fictional form, but even in fictional form, it does change our consciousness.
It does, but one of the things that concerns me, I know they have a show on now that Spielberg is producing on television, but it's basically a war. That there's two different types of aliens that invade Earth, and people are rebelling against it and fighting against it. It's a very violent show. I watch it because I just like science fiction, but it's a very contentious and show that's very violent.
Is that the one called Under the Dome? Is that the one about the dome?
No, it's not the one about the dome, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's not on at the very moment. I think they just had their big finale. But it is a Spielberg-produced thing. It was very different from his E.T., very different from Close Encounters, which portrayed all of this quite benignly. This is more of we're being invaded, and we don't know who to trust, and we don't know what to do. So it's more of that kind of a thing.
He did don't forget he did War of the Worlds, too, so he does get into this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he did Taken, the TV show Taken, about the alien hybrid program. He got into that, too. He touches on a lot of this stuff, really.
Yeah, I see that. And also it's one of the things listed in this Appendix 12 that you talk about. It does say, number 10, cross-breeding of humans with more than one alien species has occurred. Hybrid children and hybrid adults do exist. They have characteristics of both the human and alien races.
Exactly. It's all there in Appendix 12. Anything you want to know is that it's in Appendix 12.
It is, and I have to share with you. Years ago, I worked with a clinical psychologist, and I'll give you his first name is Bill. He has since passed away. But he had a very high clearance within I don't know what branch it was, Navy or something like that. I don't know, Navy or Army. But they often brought him in on projects, and he told me that they showed him pictures of aliens, extraterrestrials. And he said, Patricia, they look just like us. Some of them look just like us. He said, I couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, Val Thor was one of them, looked just like us, right?
That's right. That's what we started talking about at the beginning of the show, is Valiant Thor. And he did look like us.
I know he did. And the aliens from the Pleiades, so-called Nordics, they could pass for us anywhere, in the streets, in the Pentagon, anywhere. We wouldn't know the difference.
No, we wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, you look at the photographs that have been produced that are supposedly Valiant Thor, and he's a very handsome man. He definitely looks human. There's nothing odd about him.
And he had two people with him, didn't he? He had a woman and another man.
He had another very handsome man and a beautiful woman.
Yeah, I know. That picture was taken in Howard Menger's backyard in New Jersey. Yes,
that's right.
Howard Menger, he was in touch with them. That's correct.
All of this, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I'd love to meet Valiant Thor, and I think there should be a movie about him.
Yeah, Well, we'll see what happens with that.
Him and his two friends. Yeah, and what in the world were they doing? But talking about this war-based economy and how it's going to throw everything off kilter, I mean, that was what we were discussing at the beginning of the show, and that was his message, supposedly. So it's a very interesting message, again, based on what's happening in the world today with so much conflict.
As I recall, that photograph was taken in 1957, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, that was just at the height of the Cold War, right?
Yes.
And that's what he was trying to defuse, I think, was the Cold War.
Yes, I think you're right. I think that's why he came with his friends. But it's a great story, and maybe it'll be another Hollywood movie. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Yes. Well, Len, thank you so much. This has been an incredible 2 hours of great information for us, Helene and I, and our wonderful audience members and all the people in the chat room that have been listening. It's just been a great, great time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it very much.
Thank you. Your cell phone held up, and I'm very happy it worked out. I know we had some audio concerns, but everything was working with us tonight. So thank you so much. This has just been wonderful, and please keep us posted on any new revelations or any new books that you have coming out, because we'd love to have you back.
Okay. Now, where do you live in the Berkshires? Is that correct?
I'm up in the Berkshires, and yes, Helene is on the coast.
On the coast of where? The New England coast?
Massachusetts. We're both in Massachusetts. Yeah.
Massachusetts. And where in the Berkshires are you?
I'm up in the hill towns. I don't like to reveal my location. I like to keep it as secret as possible.
I don't blame you for that. Well,
it's been a wonderful evening, Len.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. We appreciate your time, and we know that our audience will run right out and look at Secret Journey to Planet Serpo. They can find it on Amazon by our wonderful guest, Len Kasten. Thank you, Len. I hope we get to talk to you sometime soon.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Take care now. Bye-bye.
You too.
Yeah. Fascinating information.
It's great. I love these stories. These stories are things that I think about at night, and they're just it's just amazing to me that 12 very courageous men left our planet to go off-world. And again, I would love to know who they were. They need to be honored for their bravery.
Well, I'm going to keep wrapping my mind around it, Patricia.
I know, it's a lot, isn't it?
It's a lot, and it's shocking here that there was the possibility that people left this planet so long ago and went somewhere else. It's even shocking to hear currently right now if that were to occur, but to imagine it being, 40, 50 years ago, it's unbelievable.
It is.
Really,
it is.
So interesting. So.
It's fascinating. That's why I told you when I first saw the book, I'm like, oh, I don't know about this. But like I had said to you, then when I read the book, I was like, you know what? I get the feeling this is a true story. This is not fiction.
Yeah. Just incredible, and I'm glad that he's brought it to light and gives us all something to think about. I know you like to think about it at night, but I'd prefer to think about it in the morning.
In the light of day only.
Yeah. I want to thank the audience. I'd like to thank the audience for staying with us and listening to Len Kasten tonight, and we'll be back next week with another fascinating guest. Be sure to run right over to supernaturalgirlswithaz.com and add your name to our newsletter list. Thank you, and good night, Patricia.
Good night, Helene. Good night, everybody. Have a wonderful and very safe evening.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with